Sibi, can you hear me? Or if you can't, let me know you're here and listening in Slack. Silence. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, so I think a good way to start this off, maybe because we're spending some time together in the next few days, just to go around and just do some individual introductions, just so we know who each other is, where we are in the world, kind of also, maybe just share a little bit about why you joined and where you are in terms of doing anything without code, just so it gives me like a good opportunity to learn a little bit about you and also just to meet each other as well. So, should we go? I don't know what sort of screen you can see. Should we go top left, across the top, and then down? So, Kevin, you're up first. Yeah. Nice, awesome. Chris, over to you. Sorry, Chris, over to you. I was muted. Classic. Yes, yeah, cool, man. Awesome, nice one. Sounds good. Thomas, I don't think we can hear you. You might have to there you go. There you go. Yeah, that's better. Hmm. Yeah. Nice. I actually did one also and realized I'm a terrible coder, so this job came at a good time. It's awesome. Jackson, do you want to go next? Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Jackson. Sam?
I've been working in the tech space for 6 years, mostly on the biz dev roadside. I've always wanted to, you know, basically I'm constantly use that for building products. And I'm really always single sequence or even design a product with a tool. Stumbled upon, Baker Path, local tools throughout cable and things like that. And I just realized that you can really plug and play on a lot of these tools that are able to do stuff. Um, and eventually, I want to get to a point of paper versus ever where it's doing this model of business. But I think that it's unique. It's more just these tools and tooled up skills that I can take on my next skill and see the results. Super excited to be here. I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, dude. That's cool. That's awesome. Uh, Hey, Amy and Ricky, who just joined. Amy, just a quick one. Amy works for MakerPad and she'll be here helping out this week. So she'll be helping me with things like questions or any support when you're out building stuff. So she is here for you also. And Ricky, we're just running through some quick intros. Basically, who you are, what you do, and also a little bit about any experience you've got with working with no code stuff so far. So do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Start from the beginning.
That's all right. Don't do it again. That's one strike. I'm only joking. There's no strikes.
As I've been on cryptocurrency research websites and consulting firm. Um, Basically, kind of scrapped it together 2 years ago. These different tools, like do some table and Google Sheets and somehow finagle it into a Roku server. Kind of want to get a better, let's say, get a this, for the game because I just want to think around it.
Yeah.
Um, Build a few new things.
Okay.
That's kind of the high level.
Awesome. Ethan? Cool. There you go. Okay, and Anil, how you doing? Mhm. No worries. Good to meet you. Thanks for coming. AJ?
Hey, sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm down in Atlanta, Georgia, north of Atlanta, and I'm near the mountains here. I use, I'm the old guy here. I'm sure I started building websites in '94. Um, and so my interest is kind of moving away from betting on these different platforms. Um, I think I tweeted one day to you. I used ASP, ASP.NET, Perl, PHP, HTML. It's endless number of things, and you still have to start over every 3 years. That's one angle. The second one is I use Landmark.io, which is to build chatbots.
Yep.
Done a lot with Card, really like Card. Done
Cool.
work with Landing Lion as a local Atlanta company. It's a Dragon landing page.
Mhm.
Um, So, and I'm interested in building up fiber climate with level. That's something I'm trying to do in the next 90 days.
Okay.
That's about it.
Awesome. Thanks, AJ. And Sibi, if you can hear me, can you give a quick intro? If you're there, if you're not there, we can carry on. 2 seconds. Let me just see if you in Slack. Just give me a quick message in Slack, and if not, we'll just push on. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for taking the time. And actually, we missed Amy. So, Amy, do you want to give a quick intro about who you are, what you do at MakerPad, and etc.? Zendesk. Zap. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Right. So I think we should probably start with opening up cards. So if everyone has got a card account, go ahead and minimize my face off of the screen for a moment and get yourself logged in. I know if anyone's working on dual screens, then winner. If anyone's on a laptop, it's going to be some screen switching. Understand that? So go ahead, get yourself logged into cards. So just to run through the format for the day. For next probably got an hour or so. I know we've got a couple of people who've got some experience with cards, so this may be additional for you guys. But what we're going to do, we're just going to run through some of the functionality available in card, and we're going to actually go through and we're going to build out we can actually copy one of the Shopify landing pages. So we're just going to go ahead and see how you build that, run through how you do simple things with elements and styling and columns and adding images and resizing stuff, adding backgrounds, all that nice stuff. So you'll be able to build something pretty quickly. And it's up to you if you want to build along. I kind of advise trying to if you can. Just the more hands-on experience you get with these tools, the better, I find. So we're going to do that, and that will take us probably might take us about an hour, and then we're going to actually move to a guided project where we're going to set you some tasks you can go away and complete, and then reconvene a bit later on. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch this over. 2 seconds. Okay. Sorry, I'm just bringing up the sites. Okay, so I'm going to just pop a link in chat, which is going to give you a link to some assets that we're going to be working with for this build along. Try and get yourself into this folder. This is a G Suite folder, so I never know if I'm going to be setting the permissions right, so bear with me. Tell me if you can see them or can't see them. It should be a pretty... Yeah, you can. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Okay, so okay, can you see my card screen, everybody? And have you been able to see the folder that we've got in there?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, this is the site that we're going to be replicating. So who here has built landing pages in Card before? I think one or two people, people mentioned it?
But a bunch.
Cool. Sweet. Okay. Okay. Nice. Gotcha. Okay, it's just checking for a message. Okay, everyone's got it. Cool. Okay, so basically just a quick rundown on Card. Card is, I'd say, at the moment, the easiest way to build a website. You can build a site in a matter of seconds or minutes rather than hours, weeks, months, etc. So there's obviously builders which go in different grades. So I'd say Card is probably entry level, and then as you kind of get more skilled up in terms of your building style or preference, then you might graduate to something like Webflow. But for the majority of things like landing pages or personal, like easy personal sites, then Card is probably going to be your go-to, because with things like embeds and everything, you can do quite a lot with it. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're just going to actually dive in and start building a website from scratch, and by the end of it we should have something like this, and then we're going to talk about each feature as we go through. So from your starting point here, we're not going to pick a template, we're just going to go up and choose a blank canvas. And then we should have this page in front of us here. It's going to have absolutely nothing on, and you should see nothing here yet. Let's give everybody a couple of minutes to get on there. And if everyone just makes sure that the microphones are muted as well, if that's okay. If anyone has questions or anything, just go ahead and either, however you feel, interrupt in chat or add a message inside a chat or speak, or whatever you want to do. I think we could go with the flow with this one, so just interrupt me. Okay, so has everybody got this open now? Got a new site within Card. Everyone good? Anyone need a couple of minutes? Okay, so basically starting with anything with the Card, Card's really simple. Everything you do is going to start with this button here, which is the plus, which is adding an element. And elements can range anything from text, images, videos, audio, galleries, timers, forms, dividers, buttons, lists. Controls is how you navigate through a website, and then containers is simply what it is, something to put items in, and that's how you do things like columns, etc. So this kind of makes it really easy to build sites, and you don't have to worry about any of the technical jargon like divs or stuff like that. This is as simple as it comes. So to start with, we're just going to go ahead and add in some text, and we're going to remove the nothing here yet text as well. So you should have a piece of text in the middle of the screen, and as you add that in, you should, when you hover, you should see you've got your page. This is a page container here, and then if you click off to the side, you've got your background with some different style settings. So as you select a different element, you will see a left-hand menu come up from the left-hand side with some controls about how you style each element, how you position it, the width, the padding, and the contents, etc. So, and they're all on sliders, which makes everything pretty straightforward. So as we're going to be creating this Shopify site here, this is pretty clean and is like a lead capture page goes. This is quite nice, so we're just going to go ahead and start building this out. So first of all, we're going to start with the heading. Select your text element that we just added to the screen, and at the top where it says text in the left hand menu, you can see that it will say things like site title, main heading, subheading, paragraph, and text as you click through. So this is how you tell Card what it is you're trying to do. So for this one, we just want to click through until we find site title, and then we're going to change this to sell online Shopify. And as you scroll through, you can, you can change this after you've typed. So you can change the type of heading. You can have main heading, subheading, paragraph, text, but it will stay the same size. So at the top of your screen, next to the A, you'll see a paintbrush. This is where you change anything to do with your appearance of your elements. So the left-hand side, the A is for where you change your text, and the paintbrush in the middle is where you change your style. We're just going to make this a bit bigger. And to make anything bigger, you go to the size slider, and we're just going to increase that size to 2.75. I think that seems okay. Just going to scroll the weight up a little bit until we get bold, and then we're going to press done. Okay, so now we've got our main heading. If everyone's okay, I'm not just going to do a bit of learning on how to pace this thing. So if I'm going too slow or too quickly, then prod me. I'm going to go back up to add another element, and we're going to add a subheading. This will, if you add a heading, it will kind of inherit the styles that went before it. So for this one, you should get like a big bold piece of text straight underneath, and it will also add any elements that you create, would be an image, video. It will also add it in line underneath the previous one. So we're going to go ahead. 2 seconds. Let me just send this link in chat just in case anyone wants to reference this on maybe another screen. The URL is shopify.com/free trial. Okay, so this subheading, we're just going to decrease in size again by dragging the slider. 0.6, okay, 0.75, and then decrease the weight. This is how you make it extra light, and all that good stuff. And if you are already adding an element, we changed this element and we're on the appearance tab. If you add another element in here, it will automatically go to the appearance tab. So you have to make sure you're on the right tab there. If you feel like you can't see the correct settings, sometimes if you're using a product for the first time, just know that this kind of inherits where you were previously if you're adding and changing anything. So with the text, we're just going to go ahead and add this text in, and then simply just resize it as you see fit. Okay, that's how to add simple text. Now we're going to go ahead and add a form in. So to add a form, exactly the same way, just go ahead, add a form in here, and then within Card you've got a couple of different types of form. You've got a contact form and you've got a sign up form. So again, as soon as we add an element, we select form, it will pop open this left hand menu here, and then you have the contact form by default, and then you should have the option for a sign up form beneath it. I'm going to select sign up form, and we're going to do it via MailChimp. Okay, is everyone still with me so far? Pardon? I'm not sure actually. Are forms? Oh, okay. So yeah, sorry, that is my fault. If the forms with the pro account, it might be actually, that's my fault. We can. Oh, okay, fine. Sorry about that. Anybody who's in the same situation. Is everybody okay? Cool. If there's any questions, just make sure you pop them in chat. Okay, cool, fine. So with once you're on here, once you're on the form, you see you've got some settings across the top. Like again, you can go to fields, you can go to button, and then you can got the paintbrush for appearance as well. and there's some settings on the far right, but that's locked for upgraded accounts also. So we can have two different types. We can have different fields, so you can add more fields, but for this one we just want to capture the email address, and again we want to style this in a slightly different way. So to do this, we go across to the appearance, go down to where it says layout, and then we can have this in a column format, or we can have it in a row format. So we're going to select row, and then you see you've got some additional settings below it. We're just going to change the field, and if you scroll down you can see some more settings like appearance, size, weight, and you can style this however you want, but we're just going to add a little bit of rounding to the fields and also the button. Sometimes, depending on which element you select within Card, you get multiple options within the appearance tab, and they'll be tabbed along here also. So we're going to style the button and scroll down and just add some corner rounding, the same as we did to the previous one. Let's select 5 and select some corner rounding. Obviously styling is personal preference, and you don't have to spend too much on styling if you don't want to. To change the size of the height and the width, again it's under each field. So if you want to change the size of the input, it's on that slider there. If you want to change the size of the text area, it's on this slider here, and the rounding and the fonts down there as well. So that's how you do that. Any questions about the form so far?
I was just jumping back, Tom. How do you remove the fields from the form?
Oh, okay, yeah. So to remove the fields from the form, across the top, if you select your form element on the page,
Yeah.
on the top,
Choose select the form.
yeah. So there on the left hand side, top of the menu, at the top there'll be tabs. So you select fields, and then you can uncheck that box there. Okay. Cool. So next one, we're going to want to add this little bit of text in here. So we're going to add another text element straight to the text. Hopefully you've got a little bit used to adding the text elements now. You can copy and paste that. I'm going to just change the weight. And I'm going to change the size there. So now we see that we've actually got some text, we've got a little form, and then we've got some, what do we call that, disclaimer text, I guess, underneath here as well. But it seems a little bit bunched up, so you might want to add like a little bit of spacing, maybe between the email sign up. And to do this within Card, it's really easy. You can just select your element, and you can do things like margins. And we just space it out a little bit for you. We can do that on each element, I think. Size, okay, maybe not on this one. Okay, but on the text one you can. Okay, cool. So to change the background now, this has got like a nice purple background. We're just going to go and select off the page. So if you hover above or around any of the elements you've already added on, if you click off the screen, you'll see a background menu pop up from the left. And then to change that, you can just change the color in here. I'm just going to grab this color. I've just put the code in the chat if you want to use the exact one. To change the color, you simply just go ahead and add the color code in there. This also within the background is how you add image backgrounds. You can select a gradient background or even a video if you fancied it as well. And also Card gives you the ability to add patterns, which is cool. My design skills are pretty close to 0, so block color is the way I usually go. Otherwise I just end up making something that looks like it's been done in paint. Have we got any people with any decent design skills in here? Hopefully. Anyone want to fess up?
Some basic skills.
Some basic skills. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so now we see that we've got a purple background, but our text is black. So we want to change that. So we do this by selecting a text element, and then the first thing we should see on the appearance tab is our color. Select the color, and then just select white. You can do it however where you want. You can type the Fs, or you can click and drag. And unlike some other builders, you kind of have to change all these one by one within Card, rather than kind of selecting like a more traditional like div and then just changing them from there. But if you go through, you can just change them to white so it stands out a bit more. To change the background on your form also, you select the form, again go to styling, and remember what we said about the fields and the button. You're going to have different styling options for the different elements of the specific form. I know I've been through it before where I've thought I was changing one thing and actually I was changing the other part. So if you wanted to change the styling of the field, you could go to change the text. We want the text to be in like grey, and then we want the actual background of the field to be in, oh no, that's not it. You want the background, hopefully you can change the background. This is the outline in white.
Quick question.
Yep, sure.
What's the sort of like this pick up color on the website instead of I guess that's the element. Might have misleaded it for background.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I use a Chrome extension called Color Picker, Color Pick Eyedrop. So I just have that in my taskbar, and you can just select it.
Okay.
And as you kind of hover over different bits of the site, it'll give you like color code, and you can just grab it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's where my coding skills stop, really. Cool. So if you just want to change the style on the button a little bit, let's change the height and the size. Okay. Let me actually just change this font. It's a bit better in the other color. Okay, how is everyone getting on? Has everyone got a heading, a subheading, email, a form, sorry, and some small text? Is anyone stuck with anything?
I want to do that. It's
2 seconds.
okay.
Ah, okay. Good man, I missed that. I was about to ask that. Nice. Okay, yeah, cool. Thanks, man. There we go. Okay. Sweet. Okay, is everyone up to this point, or does anyone need a minute to catch up? Everyone's okay? Don't feel you can interrupt however you need to. Cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add an image. Again, like adding anything else in Card, it's pretty straightforward. Let's go to add an element, add an image, and let's go ahead and add the image. 2 seconds. Where have I got it? No, that's not it. Seconds at desktop. That's the wrong one. Bear with me 2 seconds, sorry. I'm going to add the Shopify image from the Card project assets folder. While I catch up. Okay, so when you add an image to Card, you'll see this little image editor pop up, which is really useful. So you can add a full image and then actually just select a crop of it, which I find quite good. And then also in the top left hand side, you have a number of options. You can either do a fixed crop, which will automatically give you a size, or you can do obviously a full screen, and by default it will select a crop for you. So if you did want to toggle that off, you just go ahead in the top left and toggle that off there. You can rotate your image, you can flip it each way and then make adjustments or add effects as well, but we're just going to add it, add the full image to the site here. Once you've got that, things like you can add like alt text and link URLs, but we're just going to leave these for now. Can you drop the assets link again? Great, thanks Ethan. Okay, and then to resize this again, go over to the appearance tab, and then you can change the size in here. So as the width, as the height is set to auto, we're just going to change the width, and then we're just going to make this a bit bigger. So it should stop around 37-38. And then press done. So you've now got an image the same width as your text and everything above it. Has everyone got that okay? Let me know if anyone runs into any issues. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead and we're going to add another image, and we're going to actually add in the logo at the top. So again, add an element, add an image. Remember, it will automatically inherit the appearance, so you would just be on the appearance tab if you had another image straight away. Go ahead at the top and then go and press upload. And upload your Shopify white logo. Make sure the crop, and you're selecting all of it. You can either drag and drop or toggle it in the top left. And press accept. And then once it's on the screen, all you have to do to drag and rearrange elements is click and drag, and it should automatically scroll. We actually just place this when the green line comes up above the Sell Online with Shopify, so it's at the top of the page. Then move to the Appearance tab, and then we're just going to bring this width all the way down because it's inherited a much wider width. We're just going to put it at, say, 7 odd. If you want to like add things that set exactly the same width and get annoyed with dragging, because it goes up in decimal points, you can actually just go and select the number. So if you click the number, and you can just input whatever width you want. It took me a while to discover that one. Okay, is everyone with us? Does anyone need a minute? You should have something similar to what you're seeing on my screen now. If you don't, let me know where you're stuck or if you need help resizing anything. Just give everyone a minute. Okay. Next, we're just going to give it a little bit of a margin at the top. So select the Shopify logo, sorry, and then add just a little bit of margin up to about, let's call it 2. So now you have like a nice landing page, selling along with Spotify. Here's the heading. Just reduce this margin a little bit. And then add a little bit of margin on the bottom. Okay. Cool. How's everyone finding adding stuff on before, especially those who haven't played around with Card? How are you finding it? You finding it easy? A bit fiddly to get used to? What's your opinion so far? Crazy easy?
Yeah, I think it's super simple, very intuitive. But I think maybe playing around with like margins and padding, I think
Yeah.
elements tricky for me.
Yeah.
Like that's really super.
Awesome.
Tom, quick question on the margins.
Yep.
Is there a way to control top and bottom, or bottom only or top only, or is it applying it to all 4?
I think someone may be able to correct me, but I think it's just margin.
I think it's doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So you can do width because basically we'll get onto columns in a second, and then you can change those. But because Carter adds everything in line, it will just do top and bottoms for you. So yeah, it would be nice to have top and bottom separately on each element. I get that. But for this, I think it's just the only margins you can have are, I think, yeah. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure. Yep.
One that's how would you go about doing that?
If you okay, so I think what you'd have to do is you'd have to add it as a column. So you'd have to have. We'll show you how to do a container in a second. You'd add a container and you'd have 3 columns, and you'd make the 2 outer ones a certain width. So you just have the text in the middle one. But we're going to show that now, where we're going to do these 3. So yeah. So everyone's okay. Let's push on. So now we've got like a pretty nice looking landing page. Obviously, this is just using what Shopify have done, but we can obviously replace these with our own headings and everything, and then we've got something which actually looks like a good spot to be. So let's now go ahead and create these columns here. To create columns, you're going to go to add an element. So back up to your plus icon. I'm going to scroll. I'm going to find our container. Click container. Should add it in again directly under the large image element. And then you should have a left-hand menu bar pop up here. So we're going to change this type. I'm going to change it to columns. So automatically we're going to have 2 columns pop up, and they're going to be given 50% width each, and they're going to occupy 50% of the column each as well. So for this, we actually want 3. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to press add. So now we have 3. And just going back to your question, Thomas, you can actually change the width of each column. So let's say we wanted to make the middle one 50%. We can change that to 50%, and then the middle one will be better aligned, and you can just leave the outer two empty if you wanted to have some more centralized text. Cool. Yeah, it's good. It makes it nice and simple. There is obviously like a limit to how you can style card websites, and it doesn't give you as much power as say something like Webflow. But this is the trade-off. You can do so really quickly, but obviously it's restrictive in terms of getting able to like really nitty-gritty customization. But I think it's a pretty good trade-off. So now we're just going to go ahead and have this middle column be 33%. And then we're just going to go ahead and add some text. So to add some text inside an element, so inside a container, sorry, we're going to go and add an element, add some text. And again, we're going to go and click and drag. And as you click and drag into one of these boxes, you can see it light up green, and then pop your text element in there. So let's go ahead and add this text in. So we're just going to mimic again, keep on mimicking the site, and just play around with it. We can add in some text from here, back in the text field. To change the alignment, scroll down to the bottom on the appearance tab and set this to left. You might want to make this bold as well. So again, we change the weight, maybe to semi-bold. And then we're going to go ahead and add some more text again. And then you can drag that inside of the same container in the same box, and it'll add it underneath. So if you want, you can just go ahead and replicate the 3 columns inside. Don't worry about the images for now, and we can just add in the text, and then we'll give you a couple of minutes to complete those. Again, like anything, this is just good for repetitions and just to get used to the UI and get used to adding and removing stuff and resizing. Just all good practice. If you're looking at changing the margins, you might have to change the margin from the top text element. Yep.
Running into little issues.
Sure.
Trying to resize the text boxes and the columns.
Okay.
For some reason, keeps doing this. The other text boxes within those 2 columns, for some reason, is at the same time. The slider seems to control all the different text boxes at once, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but
So which element are you trying to resize? Because the columns, if you select the container, the columns will be set to a fixed width. So you either change the percentage width to kind of resize that. If that makes sense. So if you wanted the middle one to occupy like 50% of the container, you just change the middle percentage width to 50. Or are you trying to change it, say, on the slider? Oh, okay. So for the font size, you just select your text element. Make sure you're on the actual text element here. You can always check that by looking at your left-hand menu and then selecting the A at the top, which means you can see your text.
Alright, I figured out what the issue was. I think I had a style applied on the text, and so when I was moving the size dial up and down,
Okay.
it's like adjusting it for the other text that I have listed as well.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds like it'll be it. So how is everybody getting on? Have we getting there?
I think I should.
You've crashed it. Good effort.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, let's try.
Okay, we can wait for you to get it back up. Or is it all frozen?
I was trying to save and publish to refresh.
Okay.
I was moving expecting 3 elements instead of froze, but
Got it. Okay. Let me know if you need a minute. So let us know if everybody is finished, and we've got kind of 3 columns with some text in each. Don't necessarily have to have them all completed. Just want to get to a point where you're actually just comfortable adding text into columns. This is kind of one of the things that is useful to know, and one of the small kind of nuances with actually working with Card that's slightly different to working with other drag and drop builders such as like Squarespace or Webflow or Wix or whatever you've got exposure to. Sometimes it is like add an element and then drag it, and you can drop it next to an image element, for instance, and then it will resize it for you. This works slightly differently, so I just wanted to make sure everyone's okay with how this whole thing works. Any questions around containers and columns so far? However simple or complex you think it is, just ask away. Are we all good? Okay, so I'll push on a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and do these, do a few of these logos. I'm not going to do all 8 because in Card you can only add columns 4 sections wide, and the minimum column width is 25%. So go back into Card. We're going to add another container. Change the container to columns. Add 2 more columns. So now we've got 4. And then you see it automatically sets the width to 25% each. Then when we've done that, we're going to go and add an image element in each of those. So add 4 empty image elements and then drag them inside of each column. So you've got a place to put our logos. And then once you've done that, go ahead and add in the 4 logos that are in the assets folder in Google Drive. Doesn't matter what order they're in. And you should have 4 images next to each other. So one thing about Card is doing things like this background where we've got like half purple and then half white. This is the type of styling thing that's actually reasonably tricky unless you did this as, say, like an image background. So you notice that we've got some black icons here and then it's on a purple background, which kind of isn't ideal. But for the case of this, we're just going to leave it because it's the principle of knowing how to do it rather than the styling issue. How's everyone getting on? Has everyone added some logos? Just give everyone a couple more minutes just to make sure everyone's okay. It's going to run through. Kada, how are you getting on? Okay, perfect. Anil? You can either respond with your voice or in chat, however you feel fit. Ethan, everything okay?
Yeah, can you talk about the difference between
Margins and padding. That's probably a question for a web designer to give, because I know I'll butcher the answer. Basically, yeah, there is a difference, a margin around the entire element and then a padding. It's slightly different, but margin is outside, padding is inside. There we go. Thanks, Ben. Okay, Ricky, how are you getting on? Okay, Jackson, everything okay? Sam, okay? Thomas, all right? Kevin, good. Cool. Okay. Nice. So now we've got like a bit of a landing page together. Obviously, we can keep the purple. When you're doing it, you may not use purple for yourself. So we've got some logos. So we know how to use columns now. So the columns would be how you would do something like on the MakerPad site. If you wanted to do the traditional like big image like this with some text below it. So you'd have one on the right, 50% columns, so an image, and then with some text on the left hand side, you use a column for that. So anything you want to put side by side like this, you use columns. Just remember within card there's a 25% limit and a maximum of 4 columns within the container element. Okay, so next step, we're just going to add some more. Go ahead and add some more text, and we want to add a button with that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. You can do the same. If you want to add a divider in, you can. This is just another one of the elements which is more for stylistic reasons within card. If you wanted to add a divider, and add that in around your elements, you can do that also. I don't know why mine's freezing, but there we go. I'm just going to go and add some more text.
Hello?
Ben, is that you? I think you might need to mute your mic. You said you were going to sneak in, by the way. Sorry, not allowed to attend again.
You email
Since I launched kind of my first businesses back in the days of eBay, probably when I was 18, so like 15 years ago, and I could never code, so I always had to either hire someone who could code or try and build it myself with whatever builder was available at the time. But yeah, I'd say a good few years, but I never really considered it building. Just because I didn't know like that was a skill until MakerPad existed, so it was just hacking away stuff. I thought it was just had no technical skills, but yeah, plenty of failed projects under my belt. Absolutely.
I think curious about is, well, I mean, let's say, because let's say you build something that's super successful, like MakerPad is getting success now. Like, what's the top end of where do the constraints appear? You know, would there be scalability? Because if you're, like,
Yeah.
it depends on how complex the product is.
Yeah, you can. Lots of people mention that, but I think that's a kind of excuse for people not to try something more than anything, because with the systems now, the products are so good they can scale. They can scale massively. Just like the example we always use is Lambda School have just started building their own like internal tools and systems, and they've just maxed out Airtable at about 50,000 rows, and they're at 150 million in revenue. So that's probably the sort of scale you can get to. And by the way, Lambda School is a coding school built entirely without code. So yeah, and also things like Bubble. If you're building like you can build a full scale applications within Bubble. You can then they have scaling solutions if you scale past their internal like, capability anyway, so they can then roll you into dedicated servers and databases and stuff. So it's really a non-issue, and you do well to max out some of the tools that are available now anyway. And if you are, that's a good thing because it means you're very very far down the line. Yeah, exactly. I think some of the first technical staff also, for those interested, the first technical staff hired within Lambda School were people who are good at managing Zapier. Because they used to most of the business ran off of Zapier also. So it's also how MakerPad runs.
It's that fast. And I think for me as a product manager, it's such a great if you it's a prototype to build something and then test it and see if you get it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's nice to scale.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
30% placement.
yep. Yeah. One of the common things we're seeing now, which is good for people like yourselves actually looking at building out things with no code, is investors are becoming savvy to it as well. So soon it's not going to be acceptable to go and ask investors for money without some form of product, because you can build it yourself for free in like days or a week or a month, in most cases. So people are going to actually want to see more physical products rather than just words and numbers on a piece of paper. Cool. So how's everyone doing? Has everyone got some text, and have we added a button on the bottom? Yep, thumbs up from Ethan. So with Card, you can obviously tweak everything. Nice, Chris. You can obviously tweak everything in terms of like layout and everything as you need to. But I always like to get as far as you can, as quick as you can, and get everything working, which is either like the core elements, whatever you're trying to build, and then the core functionality. And then once you've got that done, then you can go back and tweak everything. I used to be one that was looking for like perfection in terms of layout and styling. You just spend hours like choosing fonts and all that rubbish, but all the stuff that didn't really matter. So the good thing with Card and why it's been so successful is because it just allows you to get something up and out and done really, really fast. Is everybody okay? Any questions so far? Is anybody thinking of how they are going to use this to build out their next landing page? Has everyone got an idea in mind?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
This is very much a question for me.
Oh, no worries, man. I was just gonna say, weeks ago, I decided if I'm just gonna set up an account with Flow and started with the template, and I just had no idea what I was looking at. So this is definitely a lot faster than that.
Ah, got it. Yeah. Webflow is great. It's like a designer's dream as well, but that's probably the next step up in terms of skill than this. Cool. So one of the other things we'll look at now is kind of how to like navigate between your page. So this is where the control comes in. And after we've covered this feature, we're just going to talk about some of the other features, which are like some of the pro functionality. You can obviously do a bunch of more stuff. If you can see my screen, they're available with like the Next Step Up membership, which is it's quite cheap, and you can do a lot for just a few dollars. But with the control, this is how you actually navigate your card site. So as to now, we've only it's not letting me drag any elements, I think. Bear with. Okay. I'm just gonna save my site because I think I might have to reload it. Might be actually a good idea to cover this now, just so no one loses anything. If you go to the top right hand corner, you see the save icon. If you hover over it, it'll say publish to site. We're just going to go ahead and save this and publish it, just so for safety's sake. Give it a title. Phone. And then just go ahead and publish it. And with the URL options, you can use a custom domain with Card. You can save it as a draft. Sometimes the draft doesn't give you access to the features in the preview, so we're just going to publish to a Card URL, which is free. Give it a name, then press publish, and then you should be able to view your Card site on a link. If you want to check it, just open it up. Cool, you should see everything you can expect. I'm just going to go ahead and refresh mine. Okay, cool. Sorry if you're any crying in the background. I think someone just fell down. You got two twins who are 2.5 at the moment, so stopping them from causing themselves serious harm in the house is quite challenging. Okay, so if you go ahead and click the add an element and then you add a control, this is how you basically navigate through your site within Card. So everything you do within Card is it's all one page. So you use the control to actually navigate between pages. So if you wanted to build, say, like a nav bar, or you wanted to navigate from the bottom of your page, in this case, to the top, you do this by adding what's called a control. So once you add a control, it will call it Untitled. We're just going to click into it. Then you have 4 options. So you have a section break at the top. This says set section break. Elements after this one up to another break, a footer marker, or the end of the site will be assigned to a section that behaves like a separate page. If you do want to learn more about how sections work, you can dive into that. But if you're just building a landing page, then it's not essential. But how it works basically is you can put a section break, a header marker, a footer marker, or a scroll point. So let's say we had this above the fold, which is everything you see when you first visit a website, and then you had a control underneath your first image. You could call this a scroll point. This sets a scroll point. Anything linking to it using its name will, when clicked, scroll the browser to this point. If placed in a section, the browser will automatically switch to it when scrolling. So just as an example, I'm just going to drag one above my Shopify logo, and we're just going to call it top or header. I'm just going to call it top so it's not confusing if you build it out any further. Press done. And then what you can do, you can actually link actions to it. So once you've got your control placed at the top, scroll all the way down to the bottom and select your button. Then in the top left hand tab under button, if you whatever you've named your button, I hope you've named it start free trial. It looks like you can't click into it, but if you hover, you click into it and it drops down a bunch of options for you. And then you have a URL. So you can either navigate to an external site, and these are the URL types that you can add. You can link directly to an email, phone number. You can even do SMS and Skype directly from here. And then your navigation. So if you wanted to add like a go back button anywhere, you can add a browser back action. And the way you put this is you put it in this URL here. So we're just going to delete this, and ours is called top. So we're just going to put top within the URL field in there. Hashtag top. And then press done. And if you publish our site, hopefully someone lands on the site, has a quick look through, read some features, see some logos, and then wants to start a free trial, and then it goes to an external URL which is broken. 3 seconds. Let's try this. Section name. Is that? This is called top. Oh, maybe it's called a section break. Let me just try something. Bear with me. Okay. So I am messing this up somehow. Header marker. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a play around to see why this control is not working. I'm missing something. Anything linked to it? Well, and click scroll the browser to this point. Who was it who's built lots of things within Card? Are you familiar with scroll points and the difference between scroll points and section breaks at the moment? See, it's kind of always like non-essentials, but you automatically switch it in browsing. Okay. Marker section break. I wonder if you can navigate to a header. Has anybody got theirs working? We're on top. Section. Sorry about this, folks. Just bear with me a sec. I'm sure we'll figure it out. Okay, I think I've.
I have mine. You have to select the scroll point option instead of the second group or
Okay, that is weird because the section break should act as. I'll try it now. The section break should act similar to the scroll point. This is how you kind of break up your pages in Card. So what's actually happening is this control is called sign up, and then this button should be navigating to sign up. So I don't know if this is a bug within Card because it definitely should be going to an external domain. But I'll try and choose this to scroll point and sign up and see if this works. Okay. Thanks for that, dude. Good save. Let's see if it works. Okay, so this button is still pointing to this domain for some reason. Don't know if anybody else is having this bug.
Yeah, I'm hitting that too.
Okay, cool. Right, as long as I know it's not just me, that's okay. We can get it fixed. Any major difference between Card and Unbounce? I think pricing is a major difference between something like Card and Lead Pages or Unbounce or Instapage or something like that. And I think Unbounce and Instapage and tools like that, they're usually more expensive and aimed more at marketers. So they've got like an more advanced like feature set tailored directly to marketers. But yeah, Card is probably an easier entry level. So I think we have got a bit of a bug here. Let me just try and add another button and see if it is doing exactly the same. Has anybody else got it to work, or is anybody seeing this bug? Okay, but this is same bug for you. Okay. Also into the web. Okay. Okay. So sign up. Cool. Let me just check. Obviously, this is like a startup product as well. So it is, you can run into bugs now and again. Sign up, sign up. Okay. Let's just try it for one last time and then. Yeah, this is to scroll to the top, AJ. Yeah. See, the button is still.
So you can control the URL on the button. You have to start free trial.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. Got it. So I think the issue is we're getting a couple of issues at the moment. So one, this button is not showing up. So when I'm publishing my changes, I'm not seeing the second button underneath. And then if I hover this button, it's navigating to a URL, which is a default URL for the button and not the one that we gave it. So that's a bit of an annoying bug to run into, but that's okay. That was just one of the nice to have features with navigating. One thing I do want to show you is just some of the features. We can leave that for now, and I'll reach out to the guys over there and see if we can get that fixed. But so some people are managing to do it. If you wanted to do it, you can just put a URL in here. I wonder if it works when you use it.
the scroll option to like put a navigation on a one-page and then kind of click in the top, it takes you halfway down the page.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So you probably go for something like a control point. Usually you do like a control point. Okay, it's not letting me drag again. Okay, so I've got some bugs here. You do like a scroll point, so you'd have probably a scroll point like here, just underneath your image. So when you scroll, it'll then flick you down to this portion. And then if you had a if you pardon. Sorry, I can't really hear you too well, AJ. I don't think.
Oh, it was background noise. Apologies.
No, no worries. Yeah, so that should work, but it's not for some reason, and I don't know if it's working for all of you, but we'll just move on from that. So some other features that you can do within Card, you can do things depending on what membership you're in. You can have access to different things. I think the Pro starts at like $9 or something. You can do embeds, you can have widgets, dividers, other forms, timers, galleries, icons, links, etc., etc. But the one thing we're going to do is we're going to actually go and show you how you can take this email and submit it to MailChimp. So native in here is you can either have a contact form which goes to your email address of choosing, or you can have a sign up and then you can push these sign ups directly into MailChimp. If you right click up, I'll just take you to the generic MailChimp page, but you're going to need your API key and audience ID. So I'll show you this. You don't have to log into MailChimp now. I know everyone's got their kind of unique email provider. I know ConvertKit also went premium recently, which is cool. I think you get like 100 subscribers for free, and then if you invite more people, you get an extra 100 for every new one that joins. MailerLite is very good. Review's very good. I know a lot of people use that. So if you've got one of these, you're just going to need your API key and your unique ID. So does everybody know what an API is? If you don't know what an API is, it is a way that applications talk to each other. So let's say you can have an application that you want to give access to somebody else, and you want to give away access to a portion of your data, you can publish an API endpoint, which then somebody could write to. This is how Zapier connects loads of apps together, and then you can actually recall information or post information into another application or get information from another application here. So for Card to talk to MailChimp, we need to find an API key within MailChimp. So just going to log into mine. I'm going to show you how to do it. Has anybody got a MailChimp account? Or not? Or a ConvertKit account?
I have a MailChimp account, but I'm thinking a lot about using ConvertKit instead.
Yep. Cool.
Are you guys using MailChimp at MailChimp?
We use ConvertKit. ConvertKit's really good. They've got like a really nice small team as well. So if you've got any like requests and you reach out, they're really responsive in helping out, and they're really cool. So I think MailChimp used to be cool, but then they just started robbing everyone's money, so everyone moved away from them. But yeah, I think MailChimp's good until using MailChimp is easy, and if you're just getting started with sending emails, yeah, MailChimp's really nice. But once you get up to say 2,000-ish subscribers, then it can start getting expensive. But okay, just going to show you how to get your API key. So within MailChimp, if you've never seen it before, we won't spend too much time on it just because we're here to use Card mainly. But this is kind of like an add-on if you did want to send your sign up somewhere. To create an email, to create a campaign, automate, set up like autoresponders or ads. But then to find your API key, you go up to here. This is usually where it lives in most applications. Go to your account. And then in extras, you can get your API key. It's here. You can create a new key if you want. Read about APIs if you're that way inclined. And then you can see other applications you've got tied to this as well. So copy this. We go and put it in here. I'm just going to add this one into the chat so everyone has it. Also, I'll add this into the Slack channel as well afterwards, so don't worry if you're not tracking exactly where this is, that's okay. I'll make sure everyone's got exactly what they need. And then your audience ID. So your audience ID is in your audience tab, and then you go to view contacts, settings, audience name and default. So audience tab. Audience tab is your contact list. Everyone just likes to rename it to their own thing for some reason. And then to current audience, drop down and settings. And then where was it? Sorry. Audience name and default. And this basically tells Card where to put the email address. So maybe you've got some different audience for different things and different sites and different projects. Or maybe your personal newsletter and then a side project. This would be how you split it up. And here's your audience ID over to the right. So again, we want to copy this and then paste that in there. And press done. You could also control what users see after on completion. So if you select your form, the first option on the left at the top, if you scroll down, you can have a required double opt-in if you need to, GDPR and stuff like that. And on completion, you can do display a message or redirect to URL. I'm not sure if the redirect to URL is a pro feature or not. It may well be, but you can display a message here and enable reCAPTCHA protection as well. So to show that off, let's go ahead and publish it. Hopefully there's no other bugs that will stop us submitting a form. But now we have a site, and let's say I want to input my email, which is now possible. Tom, MakerPad. Okay. Start free trial. Okay, then we get a pop-up saying thank you. And now we have captured a lead, I think. Let's see if it's worked. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's have a look when it's coming through. Okay, it hasn't come through yet. I got a segment on, cancel. Okay, it has not come through yet, but hopefully it will shortly. I don't know why it hasn't, which is annoying. But that's how you do it anyway. Cool, so any questions? I'll check again if that comes through, and I'll make sure I double check that was right, but I'm pretty sure that was, and I think it may be a card issue, so let me know if anybody else runs into that down the line. But is there any questions about this email sign up form in particular, how to link it out to anything, any API questions, or any general questions about card? Anything anyone would like me to go back over, dive back into, show you how to do? Yep. Yep. We don't use card for, well, we do use card. We use a lot for things like tutorials, and if we're showing, if we're looking to like build out just like quick like mock-ups or anything, we sometimes use that. I think Ben does the majority of the work on the MakerPad site, and he's been using Webflow for, I'm not sure, I don't want to speak for him, but say a year now, and he's pretty comfortable within Webflow, so I think he does everything within that. If I'm looking at playing around with a new project, I'll start everything off with a card site, unless I'm building entirely in like another tool like Adalo or anything that requires a landing page. I'll use card, just because speed, it's easy, it's clean, and yeah, there's no real need to use anything else. So yeah, card is currently my go-to, but like any tool, everything kind of has its limits, and if you want to do anything more advanced, like adding a CMS or anything, that's when you'd probably graduate to something like Webflow. Because although this builds like a good landing page, this can't store your data, for instance. You have to store it elsewhere.
We thought it's just sync. And then led to a page. It's just pages.
Yeah, so this is, you can build it out in a way. So the only way that you would be able to do it, you'd be able to add a few links at the top, and the way you do that, it's not letting me drag. Okay, this is one great time to be running into bugs. But basically, you would add in like a container, and then you'd set it to columns, and then we'd say we'd want, remember the limit is say like 4 columns, and then what you could do is you could add like an image in this one, and then you could align it. Then you could leave like a couple blank, and then you could resize the text and everything within this. So if you wanted to say, I can't drag, but you could then resize your text to actually appear like a navigation bar. Also, one of the things you can do, you can actually resize the entire page. So if you click on your page and you've got style here, you've got a box style, which gives you a white background. You've got a wide box or a toolbox. So now you have a white background with the side background of purple. If you went to a wide box and then gave this background the same color, you will see that all of the elements can be kind of spaced out a bit. Let me just see if I can bring this wider. But yeah, you can play around with the width. Can you play around with the width there? So you can actually just change how wide you want the actual website if you went for a wide box layout. So then you could stretch it. See these now are wider, and these are wider. So you could then drag this. Let me just try and save and refresh so I can show you. Okay, it's not going to let me, but you could actually save. You can choose wide box, and then you can drag the new section with your header. So you could probably have like a header with, say, like a logo and a couple of navigation points plus like a button at the top, and then you could resize it so you can add like what's called a gutter. So you can do this. You can change like vertical, horizontal alignment, so you can push it to the end. Vertical alignment, so you can make it skinny. And on your container appearance, this is how you do your margins actually. So you know where we put in everything individually as text? If you put everything into a container, this is probably something I should have mentioned before, and I'm just remembering it now. If you actually add your elements within a container, so let's say you added a container first, and then you dragged all these within your container. I think this is within a container now. Yeah, there you go. And then now these three are within a container, and then you can change your vertical, your top and your bottom margins. I hope that answered the previous question, and I don't know why I forgot to mention that. Cool. And again, like with the width, you can then create your header like this, and you can have this nice and wide, and then you could use a container to play around with the styling, and then make those a bit narrower, add in, say, like the MakerPad logo up top, push it to the left, and then you could have your logo there, so like that. You can even add something like a button up there. But this is all sort of stuff. So if you wanted to mess around with your site, you could have like a button up here. You can have like nav. You could leave one empty and then push this across with like margins and stuff. Because once you have like an element in here, you could remember you've got the appearance, so you can actually mess around with it inside of that element. So you can start messing with the layout. But yeah, hopefully that's a good overview of what you can do. I know we've kind of hacked it up a bit now, but that is the power of Card. I think it's pretty useful to get started, and hopefully you'll be able to build some landing pages pretty easily with this. And again, yeah, just play around with it, see what you can do with it, and yeah, hopefully it'll be pretty useful. So, how's everyone feeling about it so far? Feeling confident?
Yeah, say something about using it that I found really, you can't align buttons or images. You have to do it at the page level.
I think you could within a container. So let's just have a look if you can do that. That's a good question. Let's try it while we're here. So if you've got a button, appearance, layout. Okay, you actually may be right. I wonder if you could.
You have to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what why I was late. Was messing on.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could put a container inside a container and then use one to push the other one over.
I just have to play around with it continuously.
Yeah, okay.
But it's one of the things I found super annoying.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Got it. Yeah, that's a really good point actually. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like there is obviously trade-offs when you're using like a simple tool. And then yeah, you might actually eventually find yourself graduating to something like Webflow if you're after more control, but yeah, if speed is what you're after, this is what you want to go for. So let's talk about project. So now that we've actually replicated something, I think it's probably some time we actually built something for ourselves. So bear with me. Just going to share this with you. Okay, so if now you look within your card project assets folder within Google Drive, you could see a new Word document in there. Okay, just remove this. Let me know if you can see it or can't see it.
I see it.
Cool. Okay. So what we're going to do now for this first project, we're actually going to build from scratch, from back to the start, a brand new card site. We're going to go and build an entire landing page for the project or idea that you've had in your head that you've never built a landing page for. So if you're thinking about wanting to learn how to create something, this is going to be the time where you actually get something up and running. So what we're going to want to do, we're going to use the things that we've learned. We could either add whatever sort of elements are available to you, whether you're on a free plan or you've decided to upgrade to Pro, you can use those as well. But basically, in an hour and 30 minutes, we want to have a landing page up with a subheading, a heading, a subheading, email capture in some form. This could be either like a contact form or a form linked into MailChimp, depending on your time. You don't have to integrate it if you're short for time, that's no problem. An image above the fold. I should actually say an image or video above the fold. So above the fold means the first thing you see when you're landing on a website. So this is this image here. Then we'll have 3 feature columns. So these are feature columns here. You do them in 2 ways. You need to do them side by side, or you can do an image on the left, feature on the right, image on the right, feature on the left. You know, that staggered sort of layout we're used to seeing. A button, I've said linked back to the top of the page, but this is one of the things that if you're running into a bug, don't worry about that. If you can, remember to try and use the control like it be working if it's not working. So add in your hashtag and add in a section break or a scroll point with that reference, that hashtag reference, so that if it was working, then that would link to a particular point on your website. You could do this from top to the bottom. If you're doing multiple sections to your website, you could link to that section or scroll point. Then as a bonus, if you do get time, why don't you go ahead and take a crack at signing up for a MailChimp account and finding and using your API key and audience ID to send those emails through. In the meantime, I'll also double check and see if it's actually working, because I expected my submission to be there and it wasn't. So maybe you just go and try and do it and see if it works for bonus points in there as well. Once complete, please publish to a card URL like we've done and submit your URL directly to me within Slack. So this is more about just going through the motions with getting a hands-on building time with Card. Every time you use it, you get more comfortable with building it, you get quicker, and you'll be able to actually generate landing pages really quickly. Also, the reason why building landing pages quickly is good is because you can test things out really fast. So you'll be able to have an idea, and for £0 in less than an hour, less than half an hour, less than 15 minutes, if you get really quick, spin up a landing page, add an email form, put it out to people on URL and get some feedback. If people sign up, you can set up like an autoresponder, you might get some feedback, you might be on something and it's cost you next to nothing. So this project is to get like a bit of a rep in. If you had a particular thing in mind that you've always wanted to do, use this time to build it out, play around with some functionality, play with the margins and the sizings, and make sure you're using columns. Try and use a control point. Hopefully everyone's not seeing that bug. And then if you get time, try and hook it up to MailChimp as well. So, any questions?
No.
Nope. Everyone good? Thomas, okay with everything? Good. Kevin, Chris, Jackson, good. Everyone know what they're going to build? Thinking? Okay. Nice. Cool. AJ okay? Anu okay? Kada? Hassam? Okay. Awesome. Right. I will leave everybody to it now. You go ahead and... Sorry, go. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'll post this all in the Slack channel, plus any links to any documentation and everything you may need. Also, yeah, just enjoy it. If there's something you don't know, we'll be available to answer any questions. You can ping me. Slack is probably the best way for the quickest response. And yeah, we'll jump on, help you out. But this is like an hour and a half to build out something cool, and yeah, show us what you can do. So we'll leave that. We'll close down the Zoom now, and we'll be available in Slack if you need us. Cool. See you later. Bye.